he'd been gone. The sheer joy of being alone, of being free, washed over him. It was even more refreshing than the water. He dove again, then surfaced, drawing air deep into his lungs. He could smell damp soil and moss. He floated on his back and let the sun bake his face as he watched a few puffy clouds drift through the washed-out sky. A movement on the far bank drew his attention from the blissful river. He treaded water, watching. It wouldn't do to be caught by someone who would tell Mother. There, a flash in the trees. He moved closer so he could crouch in the edge of the river, among water-worn stones where water lapped at his legs. The figure looked familiar. Michael Westfall. Loyal ducked lower, grateful that Michael was rushing along a path and paying no attention to the river. The older boy had teased Loyal more than once, made fun of how he talked with his hands. Loyal wondered why he was in such a hurry on this hot day. Michael paused, looked over his shoulder, and beckoned someone on with a hurry-up gesture. He glanced around wildly and then stuck something in a rotted-out stump. As he straightened, a girl with russet hair sped into view. It was Michael's sister, who was the same age as Loyal. They would be in the same class, too, if Mother would ever let him go to the school in town. He had always found Rebecca to be her brother's opposite, kind, still, peaceful, always ready with a smile and a wave for him. Plus, she was pretty. Now, though, the girl was gasping for breath. Her hand pinched her waist as she ran after her brother. She glanced over her shoulder, fear in her eyes. Loyal glimpsed another movement, higher up the mountain, but before he could focus on it, he saw the older boy's hand motions get bigger and his lips move. Loyal saw the word hurry take shape over and over. What was wrong? Michael grabbed his sister's hand and tugged her forward, then released her and rushed ahead. Rebecca looked back again and paused, panting. She closed her eyes and bowed her head. When she lifted her face, she turned toward the river, and Loyal had the notion she saw him. Her eyes were full of something secret, maybe. He rose up just a little, and her eyes widened. He lifted a hand the way he would when signing your. She lifted her hand in the same way, and he understood that something terrible had happened. Then she turned and sprinted after her brother. Creed headed out to the only spot near the cabin that got good sun. He'd planned to pick a mess of beans where they climbed the stalks of corn he'd planted in his garden patch. He wished for Delphi's good pork roast with sweet potatoes, but he'd eat his beans and be glad for them. As a boy, there'd been more than one lean year, and he knew even now folks in cities were going hungry. The country was in a pickle, and he wasn't so sure President Roosevelt was going to get them out of it. There'd been rumors in town about some homestead project Eleanor Roosevelt was championing. They were talking about setting one up on mostly empty land out near the Westfall place. Word was they'd pay good money, but there were plenty of folks who valued their land more than empty government promises, and Hayden Westfall was one of them. Creed felt an ear of corn to see if the darkening silks were telling the truth about it being ripe. He grunted and added the ear to his galvanized bucket. He might even dig a few early potatoes. He ought to leave them grow until the tops frosted and the tubers hardened off. But they'd sure be tasty cooked with beans and a piece of salt pork. Pausing, he peered down the mountain through the trees to where he could glimpse the Tigard twisting along the wide valley below. He stretched his back and took in the view. It was a good place. The valley shaped like his grandmother's long wooden dough bowl. The bottomland was gentle and rich, softly curving up to the steeper hillsides, offering plenty of room for a man to make a life if he were so inclined. Creed turned back to his garden. Some days it was lonesome up on Rich Mountain, no matter how much he appreciated the peace and quiet.